What's good, everybody? As always, as you guys can see by the title, the thumbnail of the video, we got another reaction today. This one's gonna be The Last of Us 2 Remastered. See what Naughty Dog is charging us for again this time. Oh man, I can't believe this.
I don't know what happened.
Another Naughty Dog
I was
remaster.
supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away.
So as we all know, we're very well versed in the story by now, so there's really no spoilers for this trailer. Oh, sorry about that.
What are you doing in here?
It would kill her.
Part 2 remastered for the PlayStation 5.
By some miracle, found someone else that's immune. It made no difference, because the only person who could develop a vaccine is dead.
I know all the leads have dried up, but Joel's still out there.
Okay. Okay.
We're gonna have to run!
Why don't you say whatever speech you got rehearsed? Get this over with.
You don't get to
Joel
rush
was
this.
such a dog, bro. Joel was such a dog. Okay, so we got new content. Okay. Lost levels. And a new gameplay mode. Okay, Lev. Okay. Okay. Okay.
You can't
Okay.
stop this.
I'm here for that. Ooh, okay. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Early January. Okay, alright. So as always, after a trailer, I gotta take a second. I gotta digest everything that I see. I think I'm gonna try and stick with a formula, right? When I react to these, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? So the good is the new content. And a lot of it's not that great, right? My initial thoughts are, when we got The Last of Us Part 1 remaster, unfortunately, we actually got less. Because in the original Last of Us, we had the multiplayer. So as great as the Part 1 remake looked, remaster, I don't even know which category this one falls under. We didn't get the multiplayer, so we got cosmetics and things like that, different ways to customize the game, which didn't change the game at all. But the Part 1 remake looked beautiful. I bought it. I still play it to this day. And I'm glad that we got that, because it kind of brought things in uniform with Part 2 to create a seamless presentation if you play Part 1 and you play Part 2. Whether you're doing it for the first time or replaying it like I did. Part 2 new content, the things that I'm curious about are these lost levels. What is this? Are these actual new missions in the game? Are they just encounters that are new? Are they seamlessly tied in with the playthrough where you're getting a new, when I'm reading lost level, an actual level in the game, that'll be very interesting, and how many of them. The other thing that I like as well is this survival mode. I think the one thing that losing the multiplayer, really cost us was replayability. As much as I love playing this game over and over, I think one of the things that makes The Last of Us gameplay very special is you can play the same encounter 10 times over and never have the same experience twice, depending on the play style that you choose to play it. So if you're in an encounter, you can play stealthy, you can play aggressive, you can play on the lowest difficulty, you can play on grounded, listening mode off, and every time you play it, you can challenge yourself in new ways to have a completely different experience, and it feels genuine and authentic every time. And The Last of Us Part 2, I think, took that to a whole different level with their, no pun intended, level designs, and the ability to go prone and jump and run and sprint. It felt really good in The Last of Us Part 2. So this kind of, I guess we can call it a horde mode, which they're calling No Return, is really cool, because now you can just jump right in and play encounters, basically. It would be cool if this had a multiplayer feature. I don't really care if it doesn't, because when I put on The Last of Us, I'm not really thinking, all right, it's time to play with my friends. So this is a nice, cool way, outside of replaying the story a million times or the same encounters a million times, to give us original content. And the last good thing that I will say about this trailer, and I think this is probably the best part about all of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'll do my homework after like I always do. I believe this DLC or this remaster is only $10. Me personally, I don't think it should cost anything, because we've already paid for this game twice. If you're like me and you played Last of Us Part 2 on PS4, you had to pay for it again on your PS5, which was absolutely ridiculous. And we'll get into the bad and the ugly later. But I'm hearing that this is a $10 DLC, which for Naughty Dog's track record with remakes and remasters, I can't really complain too much about. If Last of Us Part 2 is a $50 or $60 game with the current market being at $70, instead of having to make us pay for a whole game again, I'm glad that it's only $10, which is a fair price for a DLC. I think DLC shouldn't be more than $10 to $15. I shouldn't even just say Naughty Dog. Sony has a reputation for pricing us out, which, if you didn't know, they have a massive lawsuit going on right now in the UK for pretty much taxing their customers in their ecosystem. And ironically, Miles Morales is a great example of that. That game, in my opinion, was a DLC that was sold as an original game, and we paid $50 for it, but that's neither here nor there. The bad with this trailer is this looks exactly like the PlayStation 5 port that we already
I'm
have.
supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away.
I don't know if you guys are seeing something that I'm not here.
They were actually gonna make a cure. The only catch. Sweet Jesus.
Doctor?
What are you doing in here?
I mean, I don't know if you guys are seeing something that I'm not here. The Last of Us Part 2 looked great. This game came out on prior generation and it looked amazing. When you had to pay for it again on your PS5, it did have a graphics update, I believe. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a port update, even though it was still a PS4 game. It was not a PS5 game. If you go into the store for PS5, you usually see the PS4 version of a game and a PS5 version. This is still a PS4 game. What exactly I'm paying for graphic-wise, I don't know. Are the frame rates better? I don't know. Like, this isn't fooling me. I don't see what's being remastered here. And once again, maybe there's small details. That's one thing Naughty Dog is great at, is the details. With these worlds, when you're walking through and there's all these trees and bushes and mice running around, it looks amazing. And that's why we love The Last of Us, because it's so immersive. I don't know how much more immersive this is than it already was. And I'm only comparing this to the game that we already have. I'm not saying that it can't be better, or I wouldn't like to see a better version of it someday, but I don't know if this is really anything that we don't already have. So that's my only really bad for this. I guess some other bad things here are the new outfits. I don't know. When I'm replaying this game, I just don't see myself going on an astronaut fit for Ellie. I think it's cool. It's cool to the game, and maybe if you're just trying to spice up your playthrough and have a little bit more fun with it, maybe there's a few more cool outfits like this that seem a little bit more fitting for the game. But once again, I don't know if this is bad or if this is good, but it's just something that it just seems like it just seems like a fresh coat of paint. Like, it doesn't seem like it's anything that I'm missing. Once again, and it doesn't feel like anything that, in my opinion, we should have to pay for with the amount of times we've paid for these games. Which gets me into the ugly. I guess we'll just jump right into it. Naughty Dog, from what I've heard, you guys scrapped the multiplayer game, which you guys did not include with Last of Us Part 2 because it was considered too ambitious. So my question to Naughty Dog, and I guess my question to this cycle of Last of Us remakes that we're getting, because if I can do the math in my head, I have now purchased the same 2 Last of Us games, the original, the remaster, the remake, Part 2. I had to pay for Part 2 again on my PS5. I've paid for the same game 5 times. I paid for the same 2 games 5 times. Now, I'm a consumer. I chose to spend my money. I'm not saying, woe is me, oh my God, I was robbed. PlayStation reached into my pocket and stole my money away. sue them. I want my money back. No, as a consumer, I chose to pay for these games because I think they are amazing and I think they are worth paying for and playing over and over again. My ugly here is the cycle. When are we going to get something original? Is this what we should expect from Naughty Dog? Should we expect one new game every 10 years with a cycle of remakes in between? Because if that's the case, I get it. If I'm not going to get another Last of Us game until PS6, great. But as gaming technology has gotten better, how many times can you do this to without giving us anything original? I guess that's my question. And once again, we are getting a little bit more here than we got with the part 1, but we're already not getting a multiplayer. And you guys can see by my hand motions how I feel like it's giving and it's taking away. It's giving and we're already not getting a multiplayer at all because they're not going to put one in part 2. We're not going to get the part 1 back, and we're not going to get it the standalone multiplayer that they promised us for part 2, which we never got. It was supposed to launch post-launch for part 2, and they scrapped it, and then they promised us another game. So it's just like, as a fan, it's so frustrating because I support what Naughty Dog is doing. I support the Last of Us franchise. I love it. I think it's gearing up to be one of the best franchises we've had ever, regardless of how you feel about the story in part 2. These games are fun. These games are immersive, and these games deliver. Even if you don't care about the story, compared to some of the other games out there for $70, these games are worth your money, which at the end of the day, as a consumer, is why I can buy a game like this 5 times. I guess I'm glad that this one's only $10. I am gonna play it. I am gonna purchase it. Maybe we'll notice a difference in the graphics at that time. I'm sure there'll be some graphic comparison videos. But I guess overall, I'm looking forward to the survival mode. I would pay $10 for that just to jump in. I think there's 12 levels, I think they said. But I do think that alone is worth $10. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys tired of Naughty Dog remastering and remaking the same games over and over and over again and reselling it to us while taking away other things? I guess I was kind of leading you guys with that question. How do you guys feel about this? Are you guys planning on buying this? Do you not want to buy it? Are you tired of remakes and remasters? Do you think DLCs are fairly priced nowadays? Do you even care about the Last of Us series? Let me know in the comments. You guys know my thoughts, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video, in the next reaction.